Welcome to Pastor Andrew's Inspirations. Today we will be talking about the biblical names from Adbeel to Azzan. If you enjoy these messages, please click the red subscribe button below the video. Adbeel was the third son of Ishmael, out of 12 in Genesis, chapter 25, verse 13. The name Adbeel is associated with the personal name and northwest tribe in Arabia known as Adbeel, whom Tiglath-Pileser conquered in the 8th century BCE. Adi in the Bible was the son of Qasim and the father of Melchi. Adina can be found in 1 Chronicles chapter 11 verse 42. Adina is listed as one of the mighty men of David's army. Adina was the son of a chief of the Reubenites named Shiza. Adlai in the Bible means refuge. In 1 Chronicles chapter 27 verse 29, he is the father of Shaphat and the grandfather of the prophet Elisha. He is mentioned only in this verse. Admatha in the Bible is mentioned only in Esther chapter 1 verse 14. Admatha is an advisor to Osiris of Persia. According to one theory, the verse has suffered from scribal error, and as it originally stood, Admatha was instead Hamdatha, not an advisor to Osiris but the father of Haman. Adnah is the name of two biblical characters. The first is one of the men in the book of Ezra who took foreign wives. The second is a priest, named as the head of the priestly family Harim in the time of Joachim. Adnai is the name of at least two individuals in the Hebrew Bible. Adnai, called Ednas or Ednas in the Septuagint manuscripts, is credited with being a commander of 300,000 soldiers in the army of Jehoshaphat. He is found in 2 Chronicles chapter 17 verse 14. His name is spelled with a final H-E. Adnah, called Edna in the Septuagint, refers to a member of the tribe of Manasseh who deserted Saul to support David. His name is spelled with either a final H-E or else an H-E-T-H, depending on the manuscript. Adbeel, according to the book of Tobit, chapter 1, verse 1, was the great-grandfather of Tobit. The book of Tobit is included in some Christian Bibles, but it is not included in Bibles historically used by Jews and most Protestants. Shen Black claimed that Adbeel is no doubt another form of Adbeel. Agi was the father of Shammah, who was one of David's mighty men in 2 Samuel chapter 23 verse 11. Based on interpretations of the 1 Chronicles chapter 11 verse 34 and 2 Samuel chapter 23 verses 32 and 33, Agi was either the grandfather of Jonathan or his brother. According to Shane Black, his name is a scribal mistake and should read Elah. He is the same as the Elah mentioned in 1 Kings chapter 4 verse 18. Agaba is the Agaba of 1 Esdras chapter 5 verse 29. Ahab, meaning brother or father, is the name of at least two biblical figures. Ahab, 7th king of Israel, and Ahab, son of Kaliah, who according to Jeremiah chapter 29 verse 21 was labeled a false prophet by Yahweh. In 1 Chronicles chapter 4 verse 8, Aharho, meaning behind the rampart, is the son of Haram of the tribe of Judah. Ahazbeh is the son of Machathat, was the father of the Eliphalet, one of King David's warriors in 2 Samuel chapter 23 verse 34. Ahi means brother and or kindred of Yahweh. Ahi is the son of Adbeel in 1 Chronicles chapter 5 verse 15. Ahi is the son of Shomer in 1 Chronicles chapter 7 verse 34. Ahian is the name given to a descendant of Manasseh in the tribal genealogies of 1 Chronicles. The name appears only in a single time in the Bible. Ahiezer, the son of Ammishaddai, was the leader of the tribe of Dan, and one of the leaders of the tribes of Israel mentioned in several places in the book of Numbers. Ahilud is the father of Jehoshaphat, who serves as court recorder to David in 2 Samuel chapter 8 verse 16 and Solomon in 1 Kings chapter 4 verse 3. In 1 Kings chapter 4 verse 12, Ahilud is the father of Baanah, an official in Solomon's court sent to gather provisions in Tanakh and Megiddo and Bethshan. Ahimith appears in 1 Chronicles chapter 6 verse 25, verse 10 in some Bibles. It is the name given for one of the descendants of Kehath, the son of Levi. Ahinadab, meaning my brother is noble, or my brother has devoted himself, son of Edo, is one of the 12 commissariat officers appointed by Solomon to districts of his kingdom to raise supplies by monthly rotation for his household. He was appointed to the district of Mahanaim in 1 Kings chapter 4 verse 14, east of Jordan. Ahiram was a son of Benjamin, according to Numbers chapter 26 verse 38. Ahisamach, meaning brother of support of the tribe of Dan, was the father of Aholiab, according to Exodus chapter 31 verse 8, chapter 35 verse 34, and chapter 38 verse 23. Ahishashar is the name given to a third generation descendant of Benjamin, the eponymous forefather of the tribe of Benjamin, in 1 Chronicles chapter 7 verse 10. This figure is mentioned nowhere else in the Hebrew Bible. Ahishar, meaning brother of song or singer, the officer who was over the household of Solomon in 1 Kings chapter 4 verse 6. Ahitub is the name of several minor biblical figures. Ahitub, son of Phinehas, grandson of Eli, and brother of Ichabod. In 1 Samuel chapter 14 verse 3, chapter 22 verses 9 to 20, and 1 Chronicles chapter 9 verse 11. Ahitub, son of Amariah and father of Zadok, in 2 Samuel chapter 8 verses 15 to 17. Ahitub, a descendant through the priestly line of the first Zadok. He was an ancestor of later high priests who served during the fall of Jerusalem and after the exile. In 2 Chronicles chapter 6, verses 11 and 12. And finally, Ahitub, a Benjaminite in 1 Chronicles chapter 8, verse 11. Allah is a name given to two individuals in the books of Chronicles. In the opinion of Thomas Kelly Shane, the name is probably derived from Ahil, or a similar name. The first is either the son or daughter of a Jerahmeelite man named Sheshan. The second is the father or mother of Zabad. Listed as one of David's mighty warriors in 1 Chronicles chapter 11, verse 41. Ahuzam is the name of one of the sons of Ashur, the father of Tekoa, in a genealogy describing the descendants of the tribe of Judah. He is mentioned only in 1 Chronicles chapter 4, verse 6. Ahuzath is the name given to an associate of Abimelech, king of Gerar, in Genesis chapter 26, verse 26. According to the book of Genesis, Ahuzath accompanied Abimelech when Abimelech went to make a treaty with Isaac. He is mentioned nowhere else in the Hebrew Bible. Ahazi is a name which appears only in Nehemiah chapter 11, verse 13, where it is mentioned in passing. The verse refers to a priest called Amishai, son of Azarel, son of Azai, son of Meshillemoth, son of Immer. In the parallel name in 1 Chronicles chapter 9, verse 12. The name Jazera replaces Azai. Aya, meaning falcon, was the father of Rizpah, mentioned in 2 Samuel chapter 3, verse 7. Adias, a descendant of Elah, appears in 1 Esdras chapter 9, verse 27, as one of the men found to have married foreign women. 1 Esdras appears in some Christian Bibles, but not in the Bibles used by the Jewish and most Protestants. In the parallel verse in the book of Ezra, chapter 10, verse 26, the name Elijah is found. In Genesis chapter 36, verse 24, and 1 Chronicles chapter 1, verse 40. Ajah is a son of Zibeon. Ajah means hawk. Akan, A-K-A-N, is a biblical figure. In Genesis chapter 36, verse 27, Akan is the son of Ezer and grandson of Seir the Horite. In 1 Chronicles chapter 1, verse 42, he is called Jachan. In Ezra chapter 2, verse 45, Akub is the head of a family of Nethinim. In 1 Chronicles chapter 3, verse 24, Akub is a son of Elianene, a descendant of Solomon, living in the kingdom of Judah. In 1 Chronicles chapter 9, verse 17, Ezra chapter 2, verse 42, Nehemiah chapter 7, verse 45, and chapter 11, verse 19. Akub is listed as one of the Levite gatekeepers of Jerusalem after the return from the Babylonian captivity. In 1 Chronicles chapter 4, verse 37, Alon is the son of Jediah of the family of the Simeonites, who expelled the Hamites from the valley of Gedor. In Genesis chapter 36, verse 40, Alva is a chief of Edom and a descendant of Esau. In 1 Chronicles chapter 1, verse 51, he is called Eliah or Eliah. In Genesis chapter 36 verse 23, Alvan is the eldest son of Shabal and a descendant of Ser the Horite. In 1 Chronicles chapter 1 verse 40, he is called Elian or Alian. In 2 Chronicles chapter 28 verses 1 to 4, Amasa is the son of Hadlai and one of the leaders of Ephraim in 2 Chronicles chapter 28 verse 12 during the reign of the evil king Ahaz. Amashsai, son of Azareel, was appointed by Nehemiah to reside at Jerusalem and do the work of the temple. He merits only one mention in the whole Bible, in Nehemiah chapter 11 verse 13. In 2 Chronicles chapter 17 verse 16, Amasiah, meaning burden of Jehovah, was the son of Zikri, a captain under King Jehoshaphat. In Amos chapter 7 verse 10, Amaziah is a priest of Bethel who confronts Amos and rejects his prophesying against King Jeroboam II. As a result, Amos is led to prophesy the doom of Amaziah's family, the loss of his land, and his death in exile. Jonathan Magonet has described Amaziah as a spiritual leader who believed in his own power and could not risk hearing the word of God. Aminadab is a person mentioned in the Old Testament in Song of Solomon chapter 6 verse 12, whose chariots were famed for their swiftness. It is rendered in the margin, my willing people, and in the Revised Version, my princely people. Amazab, or Amizabad, was the son of Benaiah, who was the third and chief captain of the host under David in 1 Chronicles chapter 27, verse 6. Ammon was a city governor in the time of kings, Jehoshaphat and Ahab. Amzi is a masculine Hebrew name meaning my strength or strong. Two individuals with this name are mentioned in the Bible. In 1 Chronicles chapter 6 verse 31 indicates Amzi as a Levite man of the family of Merari. A son of Zechariah was named Amzi. He was an ancestor to the Levite priest Adiah in Nehemiah chapter 11 verse 12, who was one of the Israelite exiles under the direction of Nehemiah when he returned to Jerusalem to rebuild the city walls. In the book of Genesis, there are two men and one woman named Anna, A-N-A-H. In Genesis chapter 36 verses 2, 14, 18, and 25, Anna is a daughter of Zibeon, and her daughter Aholibamah is a wife of Esau. In Genesis chapter 36, verses 20 and 29, and 1 Chronicles chapter 1, verse 38, Anna is a son of Ser, and a brother of Zibeon, chief of the Horites. In Genesis chapter 36, verse 24, and 1 Chronicles chapter 1, verses 40 and 41, Anna is a son of Zibeon, and is famed for discovering hot springs. Aniah, a name meaning Yahweh has answered, appears only twice in the Hebrew Bible, with both appearances in Nehemiah. The first appearance describes Ezra, a Jewish reformer, standing up to give a speech, with 13 other people standing beside him. Aniah is listed as one of those standing by. The second appearance of the name is in a list of people who signed a covenant between God and the Jewish people. Anak was the father of Ahiman, Shishai, and Talmai in Numbers, chapter 13, verse 22. Anan was one of the Israelites who sealed the covenant after the return from Babylon in Nehemiah chapter 10, verse 26. While Anan, which means cloud, never became a very common name, a much later person, so named Anan ben David, 715 to 795, is widely considered to be a major founder of the Karaite movement of Judaism. Anani is a name which appears in the genealogy in Chronicles. It refers to a descendant of Zerubbabel. According to the Masoretic text, Anani was born 6 generations after Zerubbabel. For scholars, this 6th-generation span after Zerubbabel implies that Chronicles could not have been written earlier than about 400 BCE. In the Septuagint, however, Anani is listed as 11 generations removed from Zerubbabel. For scholars who believe that, the Septuagint reading for Anani's genealogy is correct. This places the earliest possible date for the writing of Chronicles at about 300 BCE. Anthothige is a name which appears only once in the Hebrew Bible, in a genealogical section listing descendants of Benjamin. It is most likely an adjective used to describe a female person from the town of Anathoth. Manuscripts of the Greek Septuagint give the name as Anathaeth, Anathothia, Athine, or Anathotha. Aphia of the tribe of Benjamin was an ancestor of King Saul and of his commander Abner. According to Saul, his family was the least of the tribe of Benjamin. Apaim is a minor figure who appears in 1 Chronicles chapter 2, verses 30 and 31. He appears briefly in a genealogy of Jerahmeelites, in which he is the father Ishi, son of Apaim, son of Nadab, son of Shammai, son of Onam, and son of Jerahmeel. In manuscripts of the Septuagint, he is called Ephraim, Aphaim, or Ophium. Era is the name of 2 minor biblical figures. The name may mean wayfarer. Era, the son of Ulla, appears as a member of the tribe of Asher in the part of the books of Chronicles devoted to outlining the genealogy of the 12 tribes of Israel. In the book of Ezra and the book of Nehemiah, the sons of Era are a group listed among the returnees to Jerusalem in the time of Nehemiah. Shechaniah, a son of Shechaniah, was the father-in-law of Tobiah the Ammonite. Ard was the 10th son of Benjamin in Genesis chapter 46, verse 21. It is relatively unusual among Hebrew names for ending in a cluster of 2 consonants instead of as a sigillate. Ardan, meaning bronze, is a son of Caleb by Jerioth in 1 Chronicles chapter 2, verse 18. Areli was a son of Gad according to Genesis chapter 46, verse 16, and Numbers chapter 26, verse 17. He was one of the 70 souls to migrate to Egypt with Jacob. Arnan was a descendant of David, father of Obadiah, and son of Raphael. Arodi was a son of Gad, according to Genesis chapter 46, verse 16, and Numbers chapter 26, verse 17. He was one of the 70 souls to migrate to Egypt with Jacob. Azariel, according to a genealogical passages in the book of Chronicles, was the son of a figure named Jehalelel. Azariel and Jehalelel are mentioned only briefly in a section of the genealogies adjacent to the descendants of Caleb, although the relationship between them and the descendants of Caleb is uncertain. Adbeel is the third of the 10 sons of Benjamin named in Genesis. He founded the tribe of Ashbelites. Ashpenaz was the chief of the eunuchs serving King Nebuchadnezzar, named in Daniel chapter 1, verse 3, and subsequently referred to later in Daniel chapter 1 simply as the chief of the eunuchs, who selected Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, sons of the Jewish royal family and nobility, to be taken to Babylon to learn the language and literature of the Chaldeans. It was Ashpenaz who gave Daniel and his companions the names Belteshazzar, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Aziel is listed as one of the descendants of Simeon in 1 Chronicles chapter 4, verse 35. Azriel was the son of Manasseh, according to Numbers chapter 26, verse 31, Joshua chapter 17, verse 2, and 1 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14. Asir was the son of Korah of the house of Levi, according to Exodus chapter 6, verse 24, born in Egypt. It was also the firstborn son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah. Perhaps there is enough ambiguity here to assume that Asir is actually an adjective. The text is too vague to be certain. In 1 Chronicles chapter 3, verse 17, Jehoiakim was the last free king of Judah before being led off to captivity. Prisoner could be a more descriptive use of Asir, as opposed to the name of a son. Athaliah, the son of Uzziah, is a person listed in Nehemiah as a Judahite inhabitant of Jerusalem. The meaning of the name is uncertain. Athaliah, a descendant of Babai, is listed in the book of Ezra as one of the men who married foreign women. The name is a contraction of Athaliah. In the equivalent list in 1 Esdras, the name Amatheus or Amatheus appears in the same place. Azaliah is mentioned in passing as the father of the scribe Shaphan in 2 Kings chapter 22 verse 3, and the copy of the same verse found in 2 Chronicles chapter 34 verse 8. The name means Yahweh has reserved. Azaniah is mentioned in passing in Nehemiah chapter 10 verse 9 as the name the father of Levite who signed the covenant of Nehemiah. The name means Yahweh listened. Azariah means God helped. He was the son of Nathan. He was appointed by King Solomon to be over his deputies. 1 Kings chapter 4 verse 5. Azgad is the name of a Levite who signed Ezra's covenant. The name means Gad is strong. Azmaveth of Baharim was one of David's mighty warriors mentioned in 2 Samuel chapter 23 verse 31, and father of Jeziel and Pelet according to 1 Chronicles chapter 12 verse 3. In 1 Chronicles chapter 27 verse 25, Azmaveth, the son of Adbeel, is mentioned as responsible for the king's treasuries. Azar is the son of Eliakim. Azzan, meaning strong, was the father of Paltiel, a prince of the tribe of Issachar, in Numbers chapter 34, verse 26. These are the biblical names from Adbeel to Azzan. Adonai Nisi, the Lord is our banner. God's blessings be upon us all.